This is part four of our on racism discussion, and this is a little bit more local. I want to talk about Oregon before the end of the Civil War. When Lewis and Clark came out in 1803, they kind of opened the door for white settlers and the Oregon Land Donation Act, which promised 320 acres of land to any white man who came out to settle the land. 320 acres in 2025 Portland would be worth about $16 million. And you would get twice that, 640 acres if you were married. Of course, the wife didn't get any of the property. It all went to the husband. And one of the things that the settlers remarked on is that the population of indigenous people was gone by the time they started moving in. They had been wiped out by disease. And the settlers saw it as God's providence, that God killed the Indians so the settlers didn't have to. There was a debate during this period, should these people be allowed to bring their slaves, because many of them were coming from the South, and should the territory be free or slave? The argument against it was that there shouldn't be slaves because then there would be black people. So the rule was if you did smuggle your slave in, you could keep them for 3 years, but you had to publicly whip them every 6 months. And it's funny to me, I just saw a commercial of an interracial couple on a covered wagon going, over the Oregon Trail, and the only black people that were on the covered wagons were kept in boxes, and were allowed to walk out at night and stretch their legs, but were basically smuggled into the state. In 1859, when it became time to become a state, this debate about slave versus free reigned. Again, the argument against slavery was not an abolitionist one. It was about keeping black people out of the state. So the compromise in 1859 was the Constitution had a clause in it that said no Negro nor mulatto shall reside within the state of Oregon. Oregon was founded as a white-only state. One of the leaders of the pro-slavery movement was Joseph Lane, our first governor. He wanted to have slaves here. Lane County, where the University of Oregon is named after him. But the anti-slavery people won. And that language was enforced. And in the 1920s, it became a little bit harder because the railroad workers started showing up. In the 1940s, it got a little bit harder because the World War II workers started showing up. But that language was not taken out of the Constitution of the state I live in until the year 2002. The language that no Negro nor mulatto shall reside within the state was not removed from the Oregon Constitution until 2002. So I tell that story because this history isn't that old. It's with us right now, and people know it. People of color know it. Welcome to the resistance.